there. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. All right, let's get going. So Biden's going to have his State of the Union tonight. And I'm sure that'll be interesting in its own way. In the meantime, let's check Twitter and see what's going on with the war. Some things unfolding. A lot of weird stuff people are bringing up, like Russia has like a convoy. It's like 40 miles long, but it's not getting bombarded with bombs for some reason. I guess the only way that would make sense is if they have air superiority. Well, let's take a look at some of these. So from Paul Joseph Watson, guy that used to be from InfoWars. He said, "So sad to be leaving London." What are you trying to say here? Bus stop by Liverpool Street Station would be so busy, outrageous. Trains could have been cancelled, no context to it. Not a lot of Londoners in London. Yeah, well, you read between the lines. So local government body in Moscow's district calls on Putin to withdraw troops from Ukraine, calling it as a disaster, which is leading to the impoverishment of the country. It's kind of hard to tell what's real and what isn't it? Russia is sending Mongolian Burats into Ukraine as well.
Боевой бурят? Нет. А какой?
Тыловики мы вообще не знаем.
Тыловики? Братан, держись, отправим тебя в Бурятию.
Он приехал. Подвоз ракет.
Куда вез ракеты?
Вперед
Привез ракеты, чтобы нас только валили, а мы тебя, блядь,
Куда вез ракеты?
Нам сказали,
Ракеты куда вез? Куда точно?
за танками ехали.
Вот это боевые буряты наши, ребята. За танками ехали. Будем спасать и отправлять в Бурятию. Оленей надо пасти,
What the
оленей.
fuck?
А вот, друзья мои...
It's like the last person you'd expect to see there. Sometimes you succeed and sometimes you fail. So if you failed, turned out to be humorous, at least share it online. My coworker called in yet again, said she had a nail on her tire that caused her to... And I need everyone to stop what they're doing and zoom in on the nail in the picture she sent to the boss. Oh, it's just some scam. Russia is now threatening to ban Wikipedia throughout the country. Well, Wikipedia has been caught lying pretty often, or, just convoluting what they wrote, or they change what they wrote pretty rapidly depending on what the public thinks it should be. But breaking, U.S. prepared to close in its airspace to Russian planes. Close its airspace. Well, I mean, that's not good. Pay attention to the word thermobaric. You'll hear it soon. If you have a first day anxiety, don't read this. Boeing says it's suspending parts, maintenance, and technical support services for Russian airlines. If you think the footage of Ukraine is bad, wait until you see what Clinton and NATO did to Yugoslavia. Another video of Ukrainian babushka telling off Russian soldiers.
Есть семьи дома, вы что? У вас дома сидят жены, мамы. Ребята, поймите одну вещь. Люди, какой мир? Нам не нужен мир. Нам не нужен мир. Уйди от меня. У нас был мир, пока вы не пришли, поверьте нам. У нас мирно все, нас никто не обижает. Я вот разговариваю на русском. Понимаете? Я вам говорю. Я хочу сказать.
Babushka. I want Kamala to give the State of the Union address. What's going on in Ukraine, Kamala?
Directly affect the people of the United States.
So, Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So, basically, that's wrong.
If you're watching any level of news, even...
Well, at least she breaks it down so any dummy would understand, but... The funny thing is that because she's saying it's wrong, like, now I'm not so sure. Saying that revenge is better served on a cold plate is well known, and there is people that took it very seriously and did their best to revenge themselves.
In Europe, it exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So, basically, that's wrong.
If you're watching any level of news, even...
Saying that revenge is better served on a cold plate is well known, and there is people. Confession: when I was still married, I had feeling he was cheating on me. I found a pack of condoms in his car. The box was already open, so I poked a hole in the wrapper of each one. Then I proceeded to soak them in habanero pepper juice for an hour. I put them back in the car before he woke up. He told me he had to go help his mom with some things around her house. He left. 3 hours later, my best friend called. Oh, shit. Little late shopping in Kherson.
Абсолютно все. Все, что только можно. Выносят все. Вот. В пакетах, в тележках. Все выносят. Вон.
What have we here? Mexico will not impose any economic sanctions on Russia for invading Ukraine. Mexican President Lopez Obrador said, while also criticizing what he called censorship of Russian state-sponsored media by social media companies NBC News. Well, it's true, right? It's crazy what the war's evolved into. It's more cyber than anything. Let's see here.
Что вы хотите от нас? Что вы от нас хотите? Сдавайтесь! Суки!
Kind of took us on a chase, though, didn't it? Russia airstrikes hits Kharkiv government headquarters in eastern Ukraine. This happened, I think it was yesterday. These two energies merging is the chaotic vibe I needed tonight. Loving it.
I suggest they advance their career by not getting a nuclear war.
Yeah. Just like anyone else. And, you know, they sort of can't really step back. You know, no one ever fires himself. No one is ever like, okay.
And may I suggest they advance their career by not getting a nuclear war?
Yeah. But, you know, the thing is, remember the Arab Spring? Right, you know, remember...
That was all their idea.
That was all their idea. And remember what a shit show that was. Nobody involved in that. Nobody who's like, oh, let's start a civil war in Syria and Libya. No one's career suffered, right? Because they mattered.
Anderson Cooper was in Baghdad. Look how wonderful this is. They're burning everything now.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I have to confess, Alex, I believed in the Iraq War. It was that long ago. I was for it. I was a neocon. And, you know, I was like, we can civilize them. We can turn them into West Germany.
Well, you don't look that old. Hell, I was pretty young in 2003, but I was against it. So it's youth can be, we can ignore that mistake. How old were you in 2003?
How old was I in 2003? I was 3. So, yeah, this hair makes me look younger than I am.
No, that's right. That's good.
But
I can take some of your hair as a transplant. All mine. My hair is giving up the ghost. All right, stay there, Curtis Garvin. We're going to get into, you're an absolute monarchist. You know, Paul Joseph Watson is a guest of this show, and he still does some work with us. He's a monarchist now.
That's awesome.
He gets invited over there and hangs out with them. I'm not kidding. He actually eats like steaks with the Queen and stuff. Oh, I'm giving Paul secrets out. I can talk about it. I'm not a monarchist, so.
No, you're a Democrat. You're a believer in.
No, I don't believe in the mob either. I believe in a republic. Be right back.
Alexi Jonesy. You ever see one of those nature videos where the lion is laying patiently in the grass while a couple wildebeest fight each other, and the lion just waits until it all shakes out and then eats one? That's what China's doing right now. Also what my sources at SJPD tell me. Former UF star Cain Velasquez arrested on suspicion of attempted murder following a shooting. What the fuck? May have been targeting a man suspected of abusing a family member. Okay. Police say Cain Velasquez is suspected of wow, that's fucked up. These photos remind you to check the background of your photos before hitting send. That had to be the most embarrassing moment of her life. I doubt it. State of the Union, starting in a few minutes there. Do I know what's going to happen? No, none of us know what's going to happen. Russia is just as gas station with nukes. You'd never use an ordinary backpack again. Holy shit. They just swatted us at the studio and they swatted my personal home. Tim Pool just got swatted again. That's what happens when you get close, isn't it? They come for you. Whoa. Did truckers shut down DC, or is this just how lunatics live? Yeah. A little of both, I suppose. The reason we know that big tech has fully captured by the U.S. intelligence is that companies continue to exist. Interesting. What am I looking at? If ever there was a justification for a preemptive strike, it's right now, against a madman hell-bent on destroying the world to appease his ego. Russia is expected to seize Kiev in the next 4 to 6 weeks. The war overall is likely to last 10 or 15 or 20 years, and ultimately Russia will lose. U.S. How the fuck they even come up with those numbers? Shove them up your ass. Shove them up the arse. Everywhere I go, someone is talking about Ukraine. Young, old, rich, poor, educated, uneducated. It's on everybody's lips, and most strangely, the observations are indistinguishable from one person to the next. With the exception of 9/11, I've never seen anything like this. See what dummy Biden's doing here. Let's go to Rumble. Nope.
This revolutionary
to yourself, and there's this audience and you don't know who's going to applaud.
Yeah, we're getting there. Let's go back. There. If you weren't about Dangerous Joe Rogan last week, kindly fuck off about the newfound Ukraine expertise. Pennsylvania Supreme Court is controlled by the Democratic Party. Breaking Pennsylvania Supreme Court rules to uphold states' voting by mail law. Well, that's not good. Take a look at that, actually. Special counsel finds Mark Zuckerberg's election money violated Wisconsin bribery laws. Are we even surprised that they're not abiding by the same shit they tell us to do? Trail camera images from Texas shocks the country. Look at the size of that fucker.
When Shukala, with another staff member present, searched several female students in a bathroom, believing one was hiding something not allowed on school property. Several students came forward and said they were uncomfortable with the search. After 3 investigations, it was decided the assistant principal did the search according to school policy. But students at the high school led a protest today against Shukala's return.
Matt Gaetz on the floor hiding at the Capitol from his own constituents. Senate to vote on this radical on Thursday. Preventing Biden from shutting off conservative speech needs to be a top priority. Biden FCC nominee Gigi So's connections to radical left groups exposed. Ugh.
Come to work. I obviously did not support that. In fact, when the activists would flood our email boxes with emails, I would get a call from Ruth Milkman, the chief of staff, saying, make it stop. And I made it stop. Trust me, I was getting 11 o'clock phone calls to the chief of staff of the FCC saying, make it stop. So I did not support, certainly not support that.
Deeply intertwined.
Ugh. Nasty. When they say politics is show bid for ugly fuckers, they're not kidding. Flight attendants reveal secrets about the airline industry that no one wants to hear. Yeah, that they're dirty and kind of fucked up. Russia takes Echo Mosky radio off the air, blocks access to TV, RAIN website, and crackdown on independent media. Goes to Kiev. This will stop Putin's war machine. From a bar in Philly area, they are now trying to change the name of Moscow Mule. This is so stupid. My name is blank. I live in blank. If you are receiving this email, you own or work for a local restaurant or bar that sells a cocktail that goes by the name Moscow Mule. I recognize that this might be a ridiculous way to spend my Saturday night, but considering the recent horrific events of being a fucking simpleton jerk-off and innocent people who are dying by the hands of people of Moscow, I'm proposing to change the name of this cocktail. Wouldn't it be neat if we all agree that this lovely ginger beer, lime, and vodka drink was no longer deserving of being named with a blah, 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 blah. Simpleton fucking jerk-off. That's the funny thing about social media. It gives people that normally should have never had a choice for being a bottom feeder a chance to speak bullshit. I kept pointing this out when they announced the third debate would not be about foreign policy. Belarusians here, we thought they were on the side of Russia, but I don't know, maybe they're split. Vladimir Prokov's Belarusian restaurateur and entrepreneur addressed the army of Belarus. He called on them to refuse to fight in Ukraine or join the Ukrainian side after entering the country. Well, if you want to die, I guess, go ahead.
Домой! Домой! Мы безоружные! Фашисты! Вы будете по мирным стрелять? По мирным! Без оружия! Без оружия! Домой! Вам тут не Россия!
Let's see if that dummy's talking yet. Where are you, dummy? What's this?
If you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's bright, she's strong, and she's resolved. Yes, we, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how he would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth. And now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable, along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others. Even Switzerland are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been. Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access. We're choking Russia's access to technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who bilked billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States, I mean it. The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy. He has no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame. Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering. But let me be clear. Our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch. And we're clear-eyed. Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos, but while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run. And a pound of Ukrainian people, the proud, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. They've known 30 years of independence, have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards. To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be. A Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the world. And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers. Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world. America will lead that effort, releasing 30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserve. And we stand ready to do more if necessary, united with our allies. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home, but I know news about what's happening can seem alarming to all Americans. But I want you to know we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. When the history of this era is written, Putin's war in Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. While it shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly. We see the unity among leaders of nations, a more unified Europe, a more unified West. We see unity among the people who are gathering in cities and large crowds around the world, even in Russia, to demonstrate their support for the people of Ukraine. In the battle between democracy and autocracies, democracies are rising to the moment, and the world is clearly choosing the side of peace and security. This is the real test, and it's going to take time. So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people. To our fellow Ukrainian Americans who forged the deep bond that connects our two nations, we stand with you. We stand with you. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never, never weaken the resolve of the free world. We meet tonight in an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced. The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas, housing, and so much more. I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to leave his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work. So like many of you, I grew up in a family when the price of food went up, it was felt throughout the family. It had an impact. That's one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19, delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk? It cut the cost of health care insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks, and it worked. It worked. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy
Fuck
created
Biden, eh?
6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America. The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years. And the first step in bringing fundamental change to our economy that hasn't worked for working people in this nation for too long. For the past 40 years,
looks like Mitchie's gonna pass the fuck out.
The tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle down and everyone would benefit. But that trickle-down theory led to a weaker economic growth, lower wages, bigger deficits, and a widening gap between the top and everyone else in nearly a century. Look,
fuck
Vice
you,
President Harris and I
Biden.
ran
You
for
lying
office,
sack of
and I
shit.
realize we have fundamental disagreements on this, but ran for office with a new economic vision for America. Invest in America. Educate Americans.
Talk
Grow
about
the
say this.
workforce. Build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. Because we know. Because we know.
It's like, hold on.
Because we know when the middle class grows,
Hold on.
when the middle class grows, the poor will
Biden, hold the fuck on.
Well.
Fuck.
America used to have the best roads, bridges, and airports on earth. And now our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. We won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't
Fuck Joe
fix it.
Biden.
That's why it was so important
Crow-Liden.
to pass the bipartisan infrastructure
Fuck you.
law. And I thank my Republican friends who joined to invest and rebuild America. The single biggest investment in history. It was a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank the members.
Well, you
of
printed
both
the most
parties
money in
to make it
fucking
happen.
history, you fucking
We're done
fuck.
talking about infrastructure weeks. We're now talking about an infrastructure decade. And look, it's going to transform America, to put us on a path to win the economic competition of the 21st century that we face with the rest of the world, particularly
You're a
China.
fucking idiot. Then why'd you deindustrialize the West, you
It's never been
fucking
a good bet
fuck?
to bet against the American people. We'll create good jobs for millions of Americans. modernizing
Fuck you,
roads,
Biden.
airports, ports,
Yeah,
waterways,
piece
all
of
across America.
shit.
And we'll do it to withstand the devastating effects of climate
Ted
change
Cruz
and promote
looks-
environmental justice. We'll build a
He looks
national
impressed.
network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Begin to replace the poisonous lead pipes so every child, every American has clean water to drink at home and at school. We're going to provide affordable, high-speed internet for every American, rural, suburban, urban, and tribal communities.
Let's fucking go, Brandon.
4,000 projects have already been
Brandon.
announced. Many of you have announced them in your districts. And tonight, I'm announcing that this year, we will start fixing over 65,000 miles of highway and 1,500 bridges in disrepair. And folks,
Oh shit. I'm guessing it's lies.
when we use taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America, we're going to do it by buying America. Buy American products.
Why, you don't build anything anymore, you fucking idiot?
The federal government spends about $600 billion a year to keep this country safe. Safe and secure. There's been a law on the books for almost a century to make sure taxpayers' dollars support American jobs and businesses. Every administration, Democrat or Republican, says they'll do it, but we're actually doing it. We'll buy America to make sure everything from the deck of an aircraft carrier to the steel on highway guardrails is made in America from beginning to end. All of it.
What are you talking about? You shut down all the industries.
But folks,
these guys are so full of shit.
To compete for the jobs of the future, we also need a level playing field with China and other competitors. That's why it's so important to pass the Bipartisan Innovation Act sitting in Congress that will make record investments in emerging technologies and American manufacturing. We used to invest almost
What
2%
manufacturing?
of our GDP in research
Is this
and
guy
development.
fucked?
We don't now. Can't. China is. Let me give you one example why it's so important to pass. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus, Ohio, you'll find 1,000 empty acres of land. It won't look like much, but if you stop and look closely, you'll see a field of dreams.
You think that's
The
Kamala
ground on which
Harris's real
America's
hair?
future will be built. That's where Intel, the American company that helped
I
build
suspect
Silicon
it's
Valley,
not.
is going to build a $20 billion semiconductor megasite. Up to 8 state-of-the-art factories in one place.
Fuck you, Biden.
10,000 new jobs. And in those factories, the average job about $135,000 a year. Some of the most sophisticated manufacturing in the world to make computer chips the size of a fingertip that power the world in everyday lives. From smartphones, technology to the internet, technology is yet to be invented. But that's just the beginning. Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, who was here tonight, I don't know where Pat is. Pat, there you go. Pat, stand up.
There's Pat. Fuck him. Pat, you're a simp. Pat, fuck you.
Pat came to see me, and he told me they're ready to increase their investment from $20 billion to $100 billion. That would be the biggest investment in manufacturing in American history. And all they're waiting for is for you to pass this bill. So let's not wait any longer. Send it to my desk. I'll sign it. And we'll really take off in a big way.
Well, I mean, it sounds good, right? But
Intel is not alone. There's something happening in America. Just look around and you'll see an amazing story. The rebirth of pride that comes from stamping products made in America. The revitalization of American manufacturing. Companies are choosing to build new factories here when just a few years ago they would have gone overseas. That's what's happening. Ford is investing $11 billion in electric vehicles, creating 11,000 jobs across the country. GM is making the largest investment in its history, $7 billion to build electric vehicles, creating 4,000 jobs in Michigan.
that's the biggest investment in history, $7 billion.
369,000 new manufacturing jobs were created in America last year alone. Folks, powered by people I've met like JoJo Burgess from generations of union steelworkers in Pittsburgh, who's here tonight. Where are you, JoJo? There you go. Thanks, buddy. As Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown says,
he's JoJo all the way. Hey, JoJo, fuck you.
Sherrod Brown
Who's that
says
kid, like
it's
40?
time to bury the label Rust Belt. It's time to see the what used to be called the Rust Belt become the home of a significant resurgence of manufacturing. And with all the bright spots in our economy, record job growth, higher wages, too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation.
Well, the houses are fucking crazy. You try to buy a house there, dummy Biden.
I get it. That's why my top priority is getting prices under control. Look, our economy roared back faster than almost anyone predicted. But the pandemic meant that
Because of
businesses
Trumpy.
had a hard time hiring enough people because of the pandemic to keep up production in their factories. So you didn't have people making those beams that went into buildings because they were out. The factory was closed. The panic also disrupted the global supply chain. Factories close. When that happens, it takes longer to make goods and get them to the warehouses, to the stores, and prices go up.
No.
Look at cars last year. 1/3 of all the inflation was because of automobile sales. There weren't enough semiconductors to make all the cars that people wanted to buy.
Whose fault is that?
And guess what?
Fucking Biden.
Prices of automobiles went way up.
Stupid idiot.
Especially used vehicles as well.
Well, who makes the
And so we
microchips
have a
there?
choice.
Riding with
One way to fight
Biden?
inflation is to drive down wages and make Americans poor. I think I have
Who
a
makes
better
the
idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
Lower your costs. What are you, an idiot? How you gonna do that, Biden? How you gonna do that there, bye?
That means make more cars and semiconductors in America. More infrastructure and innovation in America. More goods moving faster and cheaper in America.
Where?
More jobs where you can earn a good living in America.
Craterica?
Instead of relying on foreign supply chains, let's make it in America.
Where?
Look, economists.
Make it in Craterica.
Economists call this increasing the productive capacity of our economy. I call it building a better America.
Wow, that sounds really original.
My plan to fight inflation will lower your costs and lower the deficit. 17 Nobel laureates in economics said my plan will ease long-term inflationary pressures. Top business leaders, and I believe most Americans support the plan. And here's the plan. First, cut the cost of prescription drugs. We pay more for the same drug produced by the same company in America than any other country in the world. Just look at insulin. 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes. In Virginia, I met a 13-year-old boy, the handsome young man standing up there, Joshua Davis. He and his dad both have
Let's fucking
type
go,
1
Brandon.
diabetes, which means they need insulin every single day. Insulin costs about $10 a vial to make. That's what it costs the pharmaceutical company. But drug companies charge families like Joshua and his dad up to 30 times that amount. I spoke with Joshua's mom. Imagine what it's like to look at your child who needs insulin to stay healthy and have no idea how in God's name you're going to be able to pay for it. What it does to your family, but what it does to your dignity, your ability to look your child in the eye, to be the parent you expect yourself to be. I really mean to think about that. That's what I think about. You know, yesterday, Joshua's here tonight, but yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy, by the way.
He's a cute kid.
For Joshua and 200,000 other young people with type 1 diabetes, let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month. So everyone can afford it. And drug companies will do very, very well, their profit margin. While we're at it, I know we have great disagreements on this floor with this. Let's let Medicare negotiate the price of prescription drugs.
I mean, it would sound good if it wasn't all bullshit, but
Set the price for
you know.
VA drugs. Look, the American Rescue Plan is helping millions of families with Affordable Care Act plans to save them $2,400 a year on their health premiums. Let's close the coverage gap and make these savings permanent. And second, let's cut energy costs for families, an average of $500 a year by combating climate change. Let's provide an investment tax credits to weatherize your home and your business, to be energy efficient and get a tax credit for it. Double America's clean energy production in solar, wind, and so much more. Lower the price of electric vehicles, saving another $80 a month that you're not going to have to pay at the pump. Folks,
off. We know it's all bullshit. We're on to you.
The third thing we can do to change the standard of living for hardworking folks is cut the cost of child care. Cut the cost of child care.
Cut it all, Biden. Just keep printing money. It's fun.
Folks,
Hashtag print money forever.
if you live in a major city in America, you pay up to $14,000 a year for child care per child. I was a single dad for 5 years, raising 2 kids. I had a lot of help, though.
One of them was
I
a
had mom,
crackhead.
dad,
And still is.
a brother and a sister that really helped. But middle class and working folks shouldn't have to pay more than 7% of their income to care for the young children. My plan would cut the cost of child care in half for most families. and help parents, including millions of women who left the workforce during the pandemic because they couldn't afford child care, to be able to get back to work, generating economic growth. But my plan doesn't stop there. It also includes home and long-term care, more affordable housing, pre-K to 3 and 4-year-olds. All these will lower costs to families. And under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes. Not a single penny.
Under 400 grand. So what's that, like 98% of the alleged public?
But my guess is if we took a secret ballot in this floor, that we'd all agree that the present tax system ain't fair. We have to fix it.
Fair. Fairly
I'm not looking
fucked.
to punish anybody. But let's make corporations and wealthy Americans start paying their fair share. Look, last year,
The tires are fucking tight.
and like Chris Coons and Tom Carper and my distinguished Congresswoman, we come from the land of corporate America. There are more corporations incorporated in America than every other state in America combined. And I still won 36 years in a row. The point is, even they understand you should pay just a fair share. Last year, 55 of the Fortune 500 companies earned $40 billion in profit and paid zero in federal taxes.
What do you mean?
It's not fair. That's why I proposed a 15% minimum tax rate for corporations. We've got, and that's why in the G7 and other meetings overseas, we're able to put together, I was able to be somewhat helpful, 130 countries agree on a global minimum tax rate. So companies can't get out of paying their taxes at home by shipping jobs and factories overseas. It'll raise billions of dollars. That's why I propose closing loopholes for the very wealthy who pay a lower tax rate than a teacher and a firefighter. So that's my plan, but we'll go in more detail later. We will grow the economy, lower the cost of families. So what are we waiting for? Let's get this done. We all know we've got to make changes. Folks, and while you're at it, confirm my nominees for the Federal Reserve, which plays a critical role in fighting inflation.
Look at Nancy Pelosi.
My plan will not only lower costs and give families a fair shot, it will lower the deficit.
She's like,
the previous administration not only ballooned the deficit with those tax cuts for the very wealthy and corporations,
Kamala Harris looks like she has to take a shit.
undermined the watchdog.
She's like,
the job of those to keep pandemic relief funds being wasted. Remember we had those debates about whether or not those watchdogs should be able to see every day how much money was being spent, where was it going to the right place? In my administration, the watchdogs are back. And we're going to go after the criminals who stole billions of relief money meant for small business and millions of Americans. And tonight I'm announcing that the Justice Department will soon name a chief prosecutor for pandemic fraud. And look, I think we all agree. Thank you. By the end of this year, the deficit will be down to less than half of what it was before I took office.
Yep.
The only president ever to cut the deficit by more than $1 trillion in a single year. Lowering your cost also meant demanding more competition. I'm a capitalist, but capitalism without competition is not capitalism. Capitalism without competition is exploitation. It drives up profits. And corporations have to compete. Their profits go up and your prices go up when they don't have to compete. Small businesses and family farmers and ranchers,
God,
I
there's
do not tell
McConnell
some
again,
of my
just
Republican
fucking-
friends from those states. Guess what? You got 4 basic meat packing facilities. That's it.
Just
You
sleep
play with
with
them,
your
you
no
don't get to
fucking
play at
light.
all. And you pay a hell of a lot more. A hell of a lot more because there's only 4. See what's happening with ocean carriers moving goods in and out of America. During the pandemic, about half a dozen or less foreign-owned companies raised prices by as much as 1,000% and made record profits. Tonight, I'm announcing a crackdown on those companies overcharging American businesses and consumers. And folks, and as Wall Street firms take over more nursing homes, quality in those homes has gone down and costs have gone up. That ends on my watch. Medicare is going to set higher standards for nursing homes and make sure your loved ones get the care they deserve and that they inspect and they will look at closely. We're also going to cut costs to keep the economy going strong and giving workers a fair shot, provide more training and apprenticeships, hire them based on skills, not just their degrees. Let's pass the Paycheck Fairness Act and paid leave. Raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Raise it to 30, fuck it.
Credit, so no one has to raise a family in poverty. Let's increase Pell Grants, increase our historic support for HBCUs.
I guess you can do all this shit just as long as the U.S. dollar remains supreme for the next fucking 100 years. But if there's even a slight chance that the U.S. dollar will not remain dominant for the next 100 years,
let's pass the PRO Act.
doing things like this is just doing the Western Empire guaranteed.
When we invest in our workers and we build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out together, we can do something we haven't done in a long time. Build a better America. For more than 2 years, COVID has impacted every decision in our lives and the life of this nation. And I know you're tired, frustrated, and exhausted. That doesn't even count the close to 1 million people who sit at a dining room table or a kitchen table and look at an empty chair because they lost somebody. But I also know this, because of the progress we've made, because of your resilience and the tools that we have been provided by this Congress, tonight I can say we're moving forward safely back to more normal routines. We've reached a new moment in the fight against COVID-19, where severe cases are down to a level not seen since July of last year. Just a few days ago, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued a new mask guidelines. Under the new guidelines, most Americans and most of the country can now go mask-free. And based on projections, more of the country will reach a point across the next couple of weeks. And thanks to the progress we've made in the past year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives. I know some are talking about living with COVID-19, but tonight I say that we never will just accept living with COVID-19. We'll continue to combat the virus as we do other diseases. And because this virus mutates and spreads, we have to stay on guard. And here are 4 common sense steps as we move forward safely, in my view. First, stay protected with vaccines and treatments. We know how incredibly effective vaccines are. If you're vaccinated and boosted, you have the highest degree of protection. We'll never give up on vaccinating more Americans. Now, I know parents with kids under 5 are eager to see their vaccines authorized for their children. Scientists are working hard to get that done. We'll be ready with plenty of vaccines if and when they do. We're all ready. We are also ready with antiviral treatments. If you get COVID-19, the Pfizer pill reduces your chances of ending up in the hospital by 90%. I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world has. Pfizer's working overtime to get us 1 million pills
See what
this
happens.
month,
I'm not the one who said that, he
double
did.
that next month. And now we're launching the Test to Treat initiative. So people can get tested at a pharmacy, and if they prove positive, receive the antiviral pills on the spot at no cost. And folks, if you're immunocompromised or have some other vulnerability, we have treatments and free high-quality masks. We're leaving no one behind or ignoring anyone's needs as we move forward. On testing, we've made hundreds of millions of tests available, and you can order them for free to your doorstep.
I don't want
And
the
we've already
fucking
ordered
test.
free tests. If you already ordered free tests tonight, I'm announcing you can order another group of tests. Go to covidtest.gov starting next week, and you can get more tests. Second, we must prepare for new variants.
Yeah, I forgot.
Over the past, we've gotten much better at detecting new variants. If necessary, we'll be able to develop new vaccines within 100 days instead of maybe months or years. And if Congress provides the funds we need, we'll have new stockpiles of tests, masks, pills ready if needed. I can't promise a new variant won't come, but I can promise you we'll do everything within our power to be ready if it does. Third,
check. There. That's more fucking better, eh, Brandon? Fuck you,
we have the tools we need.
Brandon.
It's
Listen to
time
me.
for America to get
You're a
back
piece
to
of
work and fill our great downtowns again with people. People working from
Brandon.
home can feel safe and begin to return to their offices. We're doing that here in the federal government. The vast majority of federal workers will once again work in person. Our schools are open. Let's keep it that way. Our kids need to be in school. With 75% of adult Americans fully vaccinated and hospitalizations down by 77%, most Americans can remove their masks and stay in the classroom and move forward safely. We achieved this
Thank
because
God
we
for that.
provided free vaccines, treatments, tests, and masks. Of course, continuing this costs money, so I'll not surprise you. I'll be back to see you all. And I'm going to soon send a request to Congress. The vast majority of Americans have used these tools and may want again. We may need them again, so I expect Congress, and I hope you'll pass that quickly. Fourth, we'll continue vaccinating the world. We've sent 475 million vaccine doses to 112 countries,
Oh
more than
my
any
God, can you
nation
imagine?
on Earth. We won't stop.
Why the fuck?
Because you can't build a wall high enough to keep out
It's just kind of funny borrowing that kind of money from the central bank, as if there's no repercussions. He's talking about like
You know, we've
positive
lost so
things.
much in COVID-19.
I
Time
just,
with one another.
I'm skeptical, and
Worst
I'm
of all,
inclined to
much
think
the
he's
loss of
lying,
life.
based
use
on
this moment to
hyperinflation
reset.
projections. Like I was saying,
Stop
unless the
looking at
U.S.
COVID
dollar
as a
is
partisan dividing
to
line.
remain supreme for the
See
next
it
100
for what
years,
it is.
this is all going to
A
be go
god-awful
to shit.
disease. Let's stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are, fellow Americans. Look. As a partisan dividing line. See it for what it is, a god-awful disease. Let's stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are, fellow Americans. Look.
Just stand up, sit down, 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 stand up, stand up, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. All right, sit down.
We can't change
Sit down.
the way that we've been. It was a long time in coming. But we can change how to move forward on COVID-19 and other issues that we
Stand up,
must
sit
face
down,
together.
stand up, sit down, stand up,
I
stand up,
recently
sit down,
visited
sit
New
down,
York City
stand up,
Police
sit down,
Department
stand
days
up,
after
sit
the
down.
funerals of Officer Wilbur Mora and his partner, Officer Jason Rivera. They were responding to a 9/11 call when a man shot and killed them with a stolen gun. Officer Mora was 27 years old. Officer Rivera was 22 years old. Both Dominican Americans who grew up in the same streets that they later chose to patrol as police officers. I spoke with their families, and I told them that we were forever in debt for their sacrifices and will carry on their mission to restore the trust and safety of every community deserves. Like some of you that have been around for a while, I've worked with you on these issues for a long time. I know what works. Investigating crime prevention and community policing, cops
You know
who
what
walk
this
the
speech makes
beat,
me want to do?
who know the neighborhood,
Makes me want to watch
and who
that
can
new
restore
Batman
trust
movie.
and safety. Let's not abandon our streets or choose between safety and equal justice. Let's come together and protect our communities, restore trust, and hold law enforcement accountable. That's why the Justice Department has required body cameras, banned chokeholds, and restricted no-knock warrants for its officers. That's why the American Rescue Plan that you all provided $350 billion that cities, states, and counties can use to hire more police, invest in more proven strategies. Proven strategies like community violence interruption, trusted messengers, breaking the cycle of violence and trauma, and giving young people some hope. We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police.
There you go.
Fund them.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Fund them.
I like how they just show a bunch of white guys in it. That's right. Cops.
Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities. I ask Democrats and Republicans alike to pass my budget and keep our neighborhoods safe. And we'll do everything in my power to crack down on gun trafficking, of ghost guns that you can buy online, assemble at home, no serial numbers, can't be traced. I ask Congress to pass proven measures to reduce gun violence. Pass universal background checks. Why should anyone on the terrorist list be able to purchase a weapon? Why? Why?
And that's like the smallest pack I've ever seen.
Ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines that hold up to 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests? Look, repeal the liability shield.
Come on, man.
Manufacturers the only industry in America that can't be sued.
Come on, man.
The only one.
Come on, man. Fuck you. What do you think?
Had we done that with the tobacco manufacturers? These laws don't infringe on the Second Amendment. They save lives.
She's
The
like,
most fundamental right in America is the right to vote and have it counted. And look, it's under assault. In state after state, new laws have been passed. Not only to suppress the vote, we've been there before, but to subvert the entire election. We can't let this happen. Tonight I call on the Senate to pass the Freedom to Vote Act, pass the John Lewis Act, Voting Rights Act. And while you're at it, pass the Disclose Act so Americans know who's funding our election. Look, tonight, I like to honor someone who dedicated his life to serve this country. Justice Breyer, an Army veteran, constitutional scholar, retiring Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Justice Breyer, thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean it. Get up, stand, let them see you. Thank you. And we all know, no matter what your ideology, we all know one of the most serious constitutional responsibility a president has is nominating someone to serve on the United States Supreme Court. As I did 4 days ago, I've nominated the Circuit Court of Appeals, Ketanji Brown Jackson, one of our nation's top legal minds, who continue in Justice Breyer's legacy of excellence. A former top litigator in private practice, a former federal public defender, from a family of public school educators and police officers. She's a consensus builder. Since she's been nominated, she's received a broad range of support, including the Fraternal Order of Police and former judges supported by Democrats and Republicans. Folks, if we're to advance liberty and justice, we need to secure our border and fix the immigration system.
Well, no shit. What the fuck are you doing? You just let millions of people in. What the fuck are you talking about? So, like, we gotta look at Ted Cruz to see if he claps. That's what he wanted.
And as you might guess, I think we can do both. At our border, we've installed new technology like cutting-edge scanners to better detect drug smuggling. We've set up joint patrols with Mexico and Guatemala to catch more human traffickers. We're putting in place dedicated immigration judges, a significant larger number, so families fleeing persecution and violence can have their cases heard faster, and those who don't legitimately hear can be sent back. We're screening, we're securing commitments, and supporting partners in South and Central America to host more refugees and secure their own borders. We can do all this while keeping lit the torch of liberty that has led a generation of immigrants to this land. My forebears and many yours. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those with temporary status, farm workers, essential workers. Revise our laws so businesses have workers they need and families don't wait decades to reunite. It's not only the right thing to do, it's economically smart thing to do. That's why the immigration reform is supported by everyone from labor unions to religious leaders to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Let's get it done once and for all. Folks, advancing liberty and justice also requires protecting the rights of women. The constitutional right affirmed by Roe v. Wade, standing precedent for half a century, is under attack as never before. If you want to go forward, not backwards, we must protect access to health care, preserve a woman's right to choose, and continue to advance maternal health care for all Americans. And folks, for our LGBTQ plus Americans, let's finally get the Bipartisan Equality Act to my desk. The onslaught of state laws targeting transgender Americans and their families, it's simply wrong. And I said last year, especially to our younger transgender Americans, I'll always have your back as your president so you can be yourself and reach your God-given potential. Folks, as I've just demonstrated, while it often appears we do not agree, and that we do agree on a lot more things than we acknowledge. I signed 80 bipartisan bills into law last year, from preventing government shutdowns, to protecting Asian Americans from still too common hate crimes, to reforming military justice, and will soon be strengthening the Violence Against Women Act that I first wrote 3 decades ago. It's important. It's important for us to show the nation we can come together and do big things. So tonight I'm offering a unity agenda for the nation. 4 big things we can do together, in my view. First, beat the opioid epidemic. There's so much we can do. Increase funding for prevention, treatment, harm reduction and recovery. Get rid of outdated rules and stop doctors stop doctors from prescribing treatments. Stop the flow of illicit drugs by working with state and local law enforcement to go after the traffickers. And if you're suffering from addiction, you should know you're not alone. I believe in recovery, and I celebrate the 23 million Americans in recovery. Second, let's take on mental health, especially among our children whose lives and education have been turned upside down. The American Rescue Plan gave schools money to hire teachers and help students make up for lost learning. I urge every parent to make sure your school does just that. They have the money. We can all play a part. Sign up to be a tutor or a mentor. Children were also struggling before the pandemic: bullying, violence, trauma, and the harms of social media. As Frances Haugen, who is here tonight with us, has shown, we must hold social media platforms accountable for the national experiment they're conducting on our children for profit. Folks, thank you. Thank you for the courage you showed. It's time to strengthen privacy protections, ban targeted advertising to children, demand tech companies stop collecting personal data on our children, and let's get all Americans the mental health services they need. More people can turn for help and full parity between physical and mental health care if we treat it that way in our insurance. Look.
Fucking go, Brandon. Brandon.
The third piece of that agenda is support our veterans. Veterans are the backbone and the spine. Targeted advertising to children. Demand tech companies stop collecting personal data on our children. And let's get all Americans the mental health services they need. More people can turn for help and full parity between physical and mental health care if we treat it that way in our insurance. Look.
Brandon.
The third piece of that agenda is support our veterans of this country. They're the best of us. I've always believed that we have a sacred obligation to equip those we send to war and care for those in their family when they come home. My administration is providing assistance in job training, housing, and now helping lower-income veterans get VA care debt-free. And our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan have faced many dangers, one being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there. I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times. Burn pits.
Look at her.
Many of you have been there. I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times. These burn pits that incinerate waste, the waste of war, medical and hazardous material, jet fuel, and so much more. And they come home. Many of the world's fittest and best trained warriors in the world. Never the same. Headaches, numbness, dizziness.
He only screw up a couple times, but no big deal, I guess.
That would put them
Sounds good what he's saying, but we know it's all bullshit. Because let's fucking go, Brandon.
One of those soldiers was my son, Major Bo Biden. I don't know for sure if the burn pit that he lived near, that his hooch was near, in Iraq and earlier than that in Kosovo, is the cause of his brain cancer, the disease of so many other troops. But I am committed to find out everything we can, committed to military families like Danielle Robinson from Ohio, the widow of Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson. He was born a soldier, Army National Guard, combat medic in Kosovo and Iraq, stationed near Baghdad, just yards from burn pits the size of football fields. Danielle is here with us tonight. They love going to Ohio State football games.
Fucking Biden. Little lines.
And he loved building Legos with their daughter. But cancer from prolonged exposure to burn pits ravaged Heath's lungs and body. Danielle says Heath was a fighter to the very end. He didn't know how to stop fighting. And neither did she.
She looks constipated for sure.
Through her pain, she found purpose to demand that we do better. Tonight, Danielle, we are going to do better. The VA is pioneering new ways of linking toxic exposure to disease, already helping more veterans get benefits. And tonight, I'm announcing we're expanding eligibility to veterans suffering from 9 respiratory cancers.
It took me down on my other
I'm also
stream.
calling on Congress to pass a law to make sure veterans devastated by toxic exposure in Iraq and Afghanistan
spreading
finally
false
get the benefits of
information,
the
but all I was
comprehensive
saying
health
was, let's go, Brandon. That's all I was saying was, let's go, Brandon.
And fourth and last, let's end cancer as we know it. This is personal.
No, but if you don't end this speech soon, it's going to be bad for everybody. And Nancy's thinking, I know
This
I
is
forgot to
personal
take
to me and to
something
Jill
today.
and to Kamala.
Forgot to take her
And
meds.
so many of you. So many of you have lost someone you love. Husband, wife, son, daughter, mom, dad. Cancer is the #2 cause of death in America, second only to heart disease. Last month, I announced the plan to supercharge the cancer moonshot that President Obama asked me to lead 6 years ago. Our goal is to cut cancer death rates by at least 50% over the next 25 years. I think we can do better than that. Turn cancers
She's like, oh yeah.
from death sentences into treatable diseases. More support for patients and their families. To get there, I call on Congress to fund what I called ARPA-H, Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, patterned after DARPA in the Defense Department. Projects that led in DARPA to the internet, GPS, and so much more that make our forces more safer and be able to wage war with more clarity. ARPA
Fuck
will have
Joe
a singular
Biden.
purpose: to drive breakthroughs in cancer, Alzheimer's and diabetes,
Hey, Biden.
and more. A
Fuck
unity
you.
agenda for the nation. We can
Smoke
do these
you.
things. It's within our power, and I don't see a partisan edge to any one of those 4 things. My fellow
Is there a
Americans,
mention there? He's probably
tonight
thinking the same thing.
we've
He's
gathered
like,
in
I
this
can't
sacred
wait till
space,
Trump comes back and beats him.
the citadel of
That's probably what he's
democracy,
thinking.
in this capital. Generation after generation of Americans have debated great questions amid great strife and have done great things. We fought for freedom, expanded liberty, debated totalitarianism and terror. We built the strongest, freest, and
Look at
most
Mitt Romney's
prosperous
gone.
nation the world has ever known.
How the hell did I get reelected?
Now is the hour. Our
Where am
moment
I?
of responsibility.
Wait.
Our test of resolve and conscience, of history itself. It is in this moment that our character of this generation is formed. Our purpose is found. Our
It
future
sounds
is
good,
forged.
but we know he's fucking lying.
Well, I know this nation. We'll
what are you
meet the
gonna do?
test.
Protect
Freedom and liberty.
Print 5 more trillion.
Expand fairness and opportunity.
Just plunge the U.S. dollar
And we
into
will
dog
save
shit.
democracy. As hard as those times have been, I'm more optimistic about America
Look at
today
him, he's
than I've
mad
been
now.
my
He's
whole
like,
life,
"Oh,
because I see the future that's
fucking
within
mad."
our grasp.
Here's Mitch McConnell.
Because I
just-
know there's simply nothing beyond our capacity. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned every crisis we've faced into an opportunity. The only nation that can be defined by a single word: possibilities. So on this night, on our 245th year as a nation, I've come to report on the state of the nation, the State of the Union.
Oh,
And my
shit.
report is this: the State of the Union is strong because you, the American people, are strong.
You're an idiot.
We are stronger today.
Sounds good, but you're an idiot.
We are stronger today than we were a year ago. And we'll be stronger a year from now than we are today. This is our moment to meet and overcome the challenges of our time. And we will, as one people, one America, the United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
Beijing Biden. At
Go
it again.
get him.
Let's go, Beijing Biden. Let's go, Brandon. Brandon! He's like, oh, God, we did it. All those drugs the doctor gave me, like, we got through it. Beijing Biden didn't even screw up once. I was surprised. I thought for sure he'd just drop a huge bomb and just shit himself and throw up right there. But never happened, you know? Let's see what's on Twitter. 'Cause why not? Oh my God, yeah. What the hell was she doing here? Look. What the fuck is that? What does that mean? If I did that, would anyone think I'm fucked up? Let's see what's on the Russia thing. Okay. What's Biden's handler saying? So when the history of this era is written, Putin's war on Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. Yeah, he said that in the speech we just watched. Every barrel of oil we buy from Russia funds their war on Ukraine. Well, it's kind of funny. Like, they always wanted the war with Russia. The West always like, ever since the Second World War, the West always wanted well, it's not the West, it's obviously a military-industrial complex, right? I don't think Russia cares, though. I think Russia has suffered enough to know that they don't care. And they'll just start pressing buttons. I guess around 600,000 refugees have fled. Send them here. It's safe here. U.S. denied GPS access to India during Kargil War in 1999. Then India decided to develop its own GPS and ISRO development. So yeah, resistance builds character, doesn't it? Eric Swalwell. Tonight, not that his opinion matters much, but we're going to read what he says anyway. Tonight, congressional Republicans have a choice: support President of the United States, show unity against Russia's war on Ukraine, or take cheap shots from the gallery and weaken America. I hope they look to unity among all parties in Ukraine as a model for rallying against evil. See, with all the leftists for the vaccine, with all the leftists against Russia, like, it almost makes me wonder why the hell I would even listen to them. What the hell is this? Palestinians are being assaulted in Damascus. Well, that's the other thing. There's a few wars going on simultaneously, but no one, well, the media doesn't care except America's allies. Look at it. Russia, 6,000 people have been detained during anti-war. Pretty sad. That is fucked up if that's real. That's actually pretty funny. This is Vasily Arkhipov. That's how I'm saying it. He prevented nuclear war by refusing to launch nuclear missiles when his superiors mistakenly believed that war had broken out between the USA and USSR during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Ukraine, no war. Russia, nuclear war. David Icke, 2015. U.S. using Ukraine to start a war with Russia.
Putin's ego, and Putin, he knows what they're trying to manipulate him into.
Fascinating.
But if they try to take Crimea back, Putin's ego and Putin's pride will no way, I would strongly suspect, allow him just to let them do it.
Exactly.
And therefore, that if they try to take Crimea back, then what you're looking at is a war, or a calculated war against Russia.
Yeah.
And if you start a front against Russia on its borders, and then all this stuff going on in the Middle East, you are diluting Russia's impact on what's happening in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And it's all a setup. He knows what they're trying to manipulate him into. But if they try to take Crimea back, Putin's ego and Putin's pride will no way, I would strongly suspect, allow him just to let them do it.
Exactly.
And therefore that...
Fascinating. Short thread on the war. What are the Russian government's goals? Recruiting war in Russia to make endless profit off incomprehensible human suffering. What is this? Oh, Lockheed Martin. Yeah, you're not kidding. Speaking of which, let's look at it in real time. Whoops. Holy fuck. Huh. Raytheon Tech. Huh. Yep. They're gearing up for something. Fascinating. See, now this is actually real news. As opposed to the stuff we're looking at, which may or may not be accurate. This is accurate news, and it's relevant to everybody. Yeah, propaganda, perhaps, hard to say. Badass Ukrainian soldiers just captured 13 Russian war criminals and make them say Slava Ukraini, like they were his little bitch.
Ваша держава може колись вас і пробачить. Я вірю, все буде добре. Держава буде коли посилати. Ще поживете, може вам навіть ваша держава може колись вас і пробачить. Слава Україні! Героям слава! Перший крок зроблений.
This is horrible. It's under fire again. That's what I just said. Biden saying, they want to rebuild energy and all this bullshit, and then he cuts the pipelines. It's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? What the fuck? It's a sign of protest against the Russian war in Ukraine. Diplomats in Geneva left the UN Human Rights Council before the speech of Sergei Lavrov, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia. Look like a bunch of little kids, doesn't it? It says, brave men in China protesting against war in Ukraine, asking which law did I break when stopped by police?
请问我这个犯法吗？犯法吗？这个犯法吗？请问我这个犯法吗？
Wow, isn't that scary though? You really can't do it there. That's the freaky thing, is that people want to censor people here, and it's hard to imagine the world to come.
Не було військової цілі, як і в тих житлових районах Харкова, по яких б'ють.
I'm watching Joe Biden attempt to provoke Russia and start World War III. Wow. What in the ultimate fuck? What is this? Absolute amazing and inspiring solidarity by Poland with Ukrainians. 4 days into Russia's war, 600,000 refugees cross the border with Poland seeking shelter. Poles are using GMAPs to indicate they have free, safe space at homes for Putin's war crime fair. That's fucking crazy. Why isn't there any of them anywhere else? It's just country by country, I suppose. If Adidas bans tracksuit sales to Russia, they could end the war on the spot. A nuclear war between... I don't even want to think about it, but let's... for the sake of entertainment.
What you are about to see is a nuclear war simulation based on data collected and processed from the International Atomic Energy Agency, the United Nations, information publicly available from the Central Intelligence Agency, and other declassified sources. The purpose of this simulation is to provide a visualization of the global consequences of a nuclear war between the Russian Federation and state members of NATO. Even though simplified to a great degree, it shows in a clear and realistic way the outcome of a nuclear war. Based on recent geopolitical events, the software used on this simulation has considered Russia to be most likely to begin a nuclear war. Time is accelerated to simplify the viewing of the events, and they are divided into 3 stages: nuclear war, nuclear fallout, and nuclear winter. Simulation ready. Declassified mode activated. For context, population of nations engaged at war. NATO member states have 944 million people. The Russian Federation has 145 million people. Stage 1, Nuclear War. Elapsed time: 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours, 17 hours, 18 hours, 19 hours, 20 hours, 21 hours, 22 hours, 23 hours, 24 hours. Total global casualties at 178 million people. Losses of nations engaged at war. NATO member states have lost 9.1% of their total population. The Russian Federation has lost 62.9% of its total population. Stage 2, nuclear fallout. Elapsed time: 3 days, 6 days, 9 days, 12 days, 15 days, 18 days. Temperature recorded, shown by degrees of latitude, in Celsius degrees.
They demand they go to war and look at Boris Johnson. He's like, what are you, fucking high? Sit down. That's probably what he's thinking. Putin has already lost the war. This statement was made by the President of the Republic of Estonia, Alarkaris. Also, he assured the entire country will provide all possible assistance to the Ukrainian people, as well as continue the sanction pressure against Russia. Oof, that wouldn't be good at all. Citizens blocking roads with their own bodies without any arms. They have stopped a Russian column from advancing. Can't imagine the Russians want to do this either.
Боярск, 95-й год рождения.
Номер части.
32-10. Иркутск. Шмарин Владимир Евгеньевич, 17 октября 2000.
Год рождения?
2000.
2000.
Damn.
Holy shit. Fuck yeah.
Oh, that's not Ukraine. Stop.
What?
That was not Ukraine. That was fucking fake news. Wars for indiscriminate attacks on civilians, residential buildings, and civilian. Yeah, I know. 1,000 dead in one night. Russia warns Kiev residents to flee homes. Pick 2 satellite pictures. Gurmish act fast to bring back Indian students. Russia warns Kiev residents to flee homes, okay. After raining rockets on Kharkiv hits TV tower and capital. As Russian commanders who have failed to achieve a quick victory shifted tactics to intensity, the bombardment of Ukrainian cities with an armored column miles long bearing down on the capital. Russia defense minister said is planning to strike targets in Kiev, use the Ukrainian security services. Residents near such sites should evacuate homes. It warned, while giving no information about where in the city 3 million people those targets were located. Rocket strike, yeah. This is bad. This is all bad. What's this one? Problem with a lot of the Ukrainian stuff is that it may or may not be accurate. Thermobaric multiple rocket launcher attacking Ukrainian positions. I have no idea if those are thermobaric missiles or rockets.
Shut down. People didn't like that we didn't give you rights.
Well, yeah, you were kind of controlling us.
I don't think I was controlling you. You know, I think it's more like we're a family. And yeah, maybe there was some ethnic cleansing back in the day, but
I think it's time I started my own thing. Become independent.
What, you want to join those guys? Bro, you can't join those guys. You live right next to me, and some of my stuff is still at your place.
Yeah, we were kind of worried about that stuff.
Okay, what if I give up the stuff? Will you guys let me be independent?
That's fine with us, yeah.
What about you? You're gonna leave me alone, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I'll leave you alone.
Hey, what can I do for you?
Could you sign this deal for us? It gives us better relations with those guys.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Are you gonna?
Sorry, I'm not gonna. It's not gonna happen.
Wait a sec.
Oh my God, are you serious right now? Are you controlling my president? Is that what we're doing now?
Me? No, I would never. Listen, I need you back in my life.
No. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you leave? Can you?
No, what do you? No, don't kick him out. Don't kick him out. Listen, you can't join the West, bro. I've been working on myself.
None of us want to come back to you.
Actually, we kind of liked him.
Want to help me take some land?
We got you, bro.
No, stop that. Stop. Sorry, can you please come help me?
No, but here's like a ton of money to fight those guys, and we'll get another peace treaty going. How does that sound? You like peace treaties, right? Oh, sure, yeah.
Hey, so I don't think the treaties are working. Could I like join your club?
You want to join our club? We're already giving you money, right, to fight those rebels.
Yeah, but now this guy's like at my border, and like I think he might invade. But if I'm in the club, then you guys would have to attack him back, right?
We would have to fight him. Do we want that though? That seems so extreme.
I really need your help, bro. Like he's getting really clingy.
Oh yeah? Well, I think you're being aggressive by trying to join their club.
I'm joining the club
hilarious.
Because you're being aggressive. To clarify, like, we do not want you in the club.
That's it. I'm coming in, bro. You have to let me in the club right now. He's coming in. This is self-defense right now.
No, I think I used up all my +1s, but
What?
let me talk to the boys. We'll get some tweets out.
You're also a Nazi.
We'll figure this out. I'll be back. I'll be right back.
Fuck me, is that ever hilarious?
Alright guys, so bad news, we're getting shut down. People didn't like that we didn't give you rights.
Well, yeah, you were kind of controlling us.
I don't think I was controlling you, you know, I think it's more like we're a family. And yeah, maybe there was some ethnic cleansing back in the day, but
I think it's time I started my own thing. Become independent.
What, you want to join those guys? Bro, you can't join those guys. You live right next to me, and some of my stuff is still at your place.
Yeah, we were kind of worried about that stuff.
Okay, what if I give up the stuff? Will you guys let me be independent?
That's fine with us, yeah.
What about you?
You're gonna leave me alone, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I'll leave you alone.
Hey, what can I do for you? Could you sign this deal for us? It gives us better relations with those guys.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Are you gonna?
Sorry, I'm not gonna. It's not gonna happen.
Wait a sec. Oh my God, are you serious right now? Are you controlling my president? Is that what we're doing now?
Me? No, I would never. Listen, I need you back in my life.
No. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you leave? Can you?
No, what do you? No, don't kick him out. Don't kick him out. Listen, you can't join the West, bro. I've been working on myself.
None of us want to come back to you.
Actually, we kind of liked him.
Want to help me take some land?
We got you, bro.
No, stop that. Stop. Sorry, can you please come help me?
No, but here's like a ton of money to fight those guys, and we'll get another peace treaty going. How does that sound? You like peace treaties, right? Oh, sure, yeah.
Hey, so I don't think the treaties are working. Could I like join your club?
You want to join our club? We're already giving you money, right, to fight those rebels.
Yeah, but now this guy's like at my border, and like I think he might invade. But if I'm in the club, then you guys would have to attack him back, right?
We would have to fight him. Do we want that though? That seems so extreme.
I really need your help, bro. Like he's getting really clingy.
Oh yeah? Well, I think you're being aggressive by trying to join their club.
I'm joining the club because you're being aggressive.
To clarify, like, we do not want you in the club.
That's it. I'm coming in, bro. You have to let me in the club right now. He's coming in.
This is self-defense right now.
No, I think I used up all my +1s, but
what? Let me talk to the boys. We'll get some tweets out.
You're also a Nazi.
We'll figure this out. I'll be back. I'll be right back.
Not only is the U.S. pushing for war in Ukraine to end closer economic relations between Europe and Russia, but also so that the U.S. can maximize liquefied natural gas (LNG) exports. It doesn't make a lot of sense to. I realize propane and oil are slightly different, but I think one is the byproduct of the other. And if you're going to shut down pipelines, then how are you supposed to expand other departments that probably rely on similar technology? Is that what he fucking said? No.
Hearts and souls of the Iranian people. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks.
He did say
that. Never
that.
gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people.
What
Putin may
in
circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks,
No.
but
How
he'll
old
never
is
gain
this?
the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. Putin may circle.
Okay. Past, present, future. Shit. Putin's war is among negative shock for the ear. Yeah. It's a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia's a bit... Oh, yeah, that's what she said earlier. Yeah, Sam Adams said has a good point here. Explain how a 40-mile-long military convoy can enter Ukraine without much trouble if Russia doesn't already have air superiority. They probably have air superiority. End of story. The other possible is that Zelensky is planning an indirect decapitation strike on Putin. Yeah? Interesting. That's not actual footage. TV tower.
Значит, Дорогожичи обстреляны, друзья. Дорогожичи обстреляны.
Alright, well, thanks for watching.
Все легли! Легли! Легли!
I'll be back on.